Okay, today we're going to talk about the Appoggio. We use the Italian term in respect for those 19th century singers, especially tenors, that developed this new way of producing the voice for the upper notes, bringing chest-voice coordination for the high notes. In the earlier times, singers would use separate registration. Yeah? So they'd sing with chest to a certain point and then break to falsetto. But with the advent of Appoggio, then the singers throughout the 19th century, especially the late 19th century, early 20th century, were absolutely fabulous. That was the golden age of singing, yeah? And so we need to talk a little bit today about Appoggio and how we fit Appoggio into the rest of what we've learned in the other videos with development of registers, etc. So my first singing teacher gave me a nice illustration, like a pictorial imagery, that Appoggio is like a fountain, a water fountain, yeah? And on top there's a little table tennis ball that's balanced on this fountain. And he said that Appoggio is like, you've got to keep the ball on the fountain. So if it's too much, then the ball will jump off. If it's too little, the ball will drop. Yeah, and that's good, but that only really emphasizes the fountain, i.e. the breath. But what Appoggio is the breath coordinated with the registers. Yeah? And so actually it's the ping pong ball in that illustration which is important. Imagine if you put a tennis ball or a cricket ball or a football on that fountain, the fountain would struggle to support. There you go, that's the English word, support. And teachers always used to say, more support, more support. Yeah, but that misses the point. It doesn't matter how much you support, if you don't get it right here, then that support will not create that huge, big Italian tone that the 19th century singers got. Yeah? So imagine, Appoggio literally means to lean. It's an Italian term, means lean. So imagine you're leaning on a wall. But a wall isn't doing anything, is it? The wall's just there, so the breath is just there. It needs to be strong enough to support the voice, if you like, but that's not the whole story. Yeah. So it's actually how we coordinate the voice into the breath mechanism, which is important. Yeah. So today we'll talk about how we bring all the register training in now to the breath and how that connects up. Yeah. And I'll refer you back to the two breathing videos. The first video I just showed briefly. Just breathe in into the tummy and breathe out again. There's no lungs here, but if you think there are lungs in your tummy, you'll sort of do it right. Yeah. Obviously don't do this, but keep a nice posture, and then just let the tummy muscles relax. Air in, air out. Yeah. And then in the second breathing video, I show how you need to stretch the solar plexus, yeah? And stretch the back. And that mimics in-breath tension, yeah? Inspiratory tension. Inhalare la voce, the Italians say, you inhale the voice. Yeah? And I was taught that by teachers, like you take the breath in, hold it, but then what? Yeah? So they forgot to talk about the expiratory tension. Yeah? So just like I've talked about in the past, we want to balance our registers, the chest with the falsetto, that's very important. We now want to start to balance the inspiratory tension with the expiratory tension. Yeah? And when we practice falsetto, that emphasizes the expiratory tension, the out-breath force, which is very important in singing. Yeah? And then when we go, chest register, we're sort of emphasizing the in-breath tension. Yeah? So you could say, to keep it simple, it's not quite as simple as that, but we exercise the out-breath force with the falsetto, the in-breath force when we do chest. Yeah? And the idea of closing the chords, we need in-breath tension in order to close the chords, because as long as there's only out-breath tension, the brain says, open the chords, let the air out. Yeah? So we want to trick We want to trick ourselves into keeping the chords closed in order to sing. But not so closed, we get stuck. Yeah? And it's very dangerous if you only emphasize that in-breath tension. It's very easy to transfer all that tension up into the throat. Yeah? So singing to get to a very high level is very difficult because we need to balance the two forces of the chest and falsetto and the two forces of the out-breath and the in-breath. So that is what Appoggio is. Yeah? It's not holding the breath, it's not pushing the breath, it's a balance. That fountain, if it goes too far, too much out-breath, the ball goes away. If it's too weak, the ball drops. Yeah? But the ball is important too, which is what we've done in the past with the other videos of training the falsetto to take over the work. Yeah. Okay, so we do a little demonstration. So, and eventually, to begin with, you'll only really feel the Appoggio in the upper notes. And if you can't get the upper notes yet, you practice in the falsetto. But eventually, you'll be able to draw that Appoggio down into the low notes. It's harder in the low notes in a sense because it's quite easy to make low notes without any Appoggio. But the idea is we want to sing the low notes also without Appoggio. So let's try it. So, out breath, combined with the in breath. So that way we can keep the Appoggio going all the way down and maintain that steady vibrato. If we switch off, it goes into the throat again, yeah? So when people say, oh, he sings from the throat, everyone has to sing from the throat, yeah? But you do it in a way that the air is free, it's released, so it doesn't... When I say sing from the throat, it sounds like it's ready, you're singing with a closed throat, yeah? So I'm continuing that out breath force. Yeah, never let go of that. Out breath force. In breath force. Neither one is correct. We need to combine. Yeah, so that actually comes later, yeah? You first really experience it with the upper voice, especially in falsetto, yeah? And then gradually you reduce the air pressure. Yeah? And then we put the full voice in. So let's try, let's take run A flat. So, relax, yeah? And it's quite hard work, yeah? To be a singer, it's like being an athlete. Yeah, I'm not saying you have to go and do laps and weight training and stuff, but you need to stay fairly fit. But it's the actual practicing this Appoggio that will develop your breathing. It's so healthy. Just even if you don't make it to the top of the singing profession, just trying to sing in this way is it's a great way of staying fit and staying healthy. Yeah. So, I mean that's pretty much it. It's just balancing. We don't want only in breath, and we don't want I mean, there's only if you let go of the inspiratory tension, you get falsetto. So say if I was going to do an arpeggio, but let go of the inspiratory, but that's what we must do at first. If you find that to get that high note, you grip, it's much safer. Oh! So, only singing full voice when you're able to get that out-breath pressure as well, and balance with the in-breath pressure, yeah. I mean, there may be a time where you need to try to develop these notes. But don't be too loudly yet, if you can't get the out-breath tension involved, yeah. So, I mean, this next stage you can do. The high note. I'm only using the in-breath tension, and the low note I'm only using the out-breath. And maybe you could go down. And then maybe. So, when you feel that, the full voice will want to kick in, yeah? Once these registers start to develop, once the falsetto is stretched, you'll feel that full voice wanting to come in. Yeah, and it may not be free at first, but eventually, so, as I bring that full voice in, I utilize what I show in the second breathing video, this stretch here, this solar plexus stretch. And you can start to practice it even in falsetto. But I feel a bigger, slightly bigger stretch. Because it's mimicking that in-breath tension, which allows me to close the chords, yeah. But the out-breath tension, out-breath pressure, the falsetto allows me to keep the throat open and allows that vibrato to stay constant, yeah. So I think that's pretty much it. It's not easy to do. You have to keep working with the other videos, developing your registers, and when the registers feel ready and strong enough to coordinate, that's when you need to start thinking a bit more about the support, the appoggio, yeah? You can start learning about appoggio before the registers are ready, but be careful. I learned appoggio very soon in my training, and so I was able to take chest higher than I should have done because my breathing was very strong. And actually, I hadn't worked out the ping pong ball. I was using a tennis ball, let's say, yeah, and supporting so strongly. I was able to keep that tennis ball up, but really you want to try for the ping pong ball, yeah. So it's not the light and thin and quiet, but it's a thin amount of chord, very relaxed, yeah. It's not quite a yawn. I mean, a lot of teachers will tell you to yawn and then pinch, and they sort of got the idea, but if you yawn first, it can be a bit fake, but it has a slight yawny sensation, but it's only as you bring in the vowel and connect or coordinate the two breath forces and the two registers that it moves into the yawn position. Your TA, so your CT muscle is pulling down the thyrocartilage to open. So it feels a bit yawny because the throat is open. But if you actually yawn, the whole thing goes down. Yeah. So I understand what they mean, but be careful if you use that. But occasionally, you might want to just think, slightly bit more yawny sensation. Yeah, if you're having trouble maybe in trying to get the voice warmed up, you can think about a teeny bit of yawn sensation, but ideally it only comes in with the vowel, and not with pre. Don't pre-yawn. Yeah, so that's all I'm going to say about that. So I hope that makes sense. Yeah, I think I've covered everything. The important thing really is to make sure once you start to engage this in-breath tension, this in-breath force, if you like, careful not to stop the out-breath, because the out-breath will keep the chords opening and closing and vibrating in that constant way. And that's what you hear in those old voices. Okay, Appoggio.